Tonight on 60 Minutes, we have two very special guests. These two guests are James McCulloch and the representative from the state of Maryland. McCulloch is a cashier and representative from the Bank of the United States. In this case, the state of Maryland wanted the right to tax the federal bank. Maryland sued McCulloch because he would not allow the state of Maryland the right to tax the Bank of the United States. With this action, Court Justice Marshall exemplified the federal supremacy over the state powers and deemed this action as unconstitutional. This decision was a controversial one because both sides believed they were right. Today I'll review both sides to see who the real victor should have been. The first person I will interview is Mr. James McCulloch. So, do you think that Maryland has the right to freely tax the bank? Also, where do you stand on Maryland's imposition of the implied powers clause?
This country has the freest and most just government system in the world. The system deemed long ago that the bank can freely operate in all states without being taxed. Concerning the implied powers that states have, states don't have the power to go directly against the federal government. It's them damn Tories that made that amendment.
That concludes my segment with Mr. McCulloch. Now on to my next segment with the representative from Maryland. So, when did you decide to make the decision to tax this branch?
We decided that this private institution could not surpass state authority and decided to tax them and to remind them who is in charge. No enterprise should be allowed to grow unrestricted, especially when it runs into conflict with the interests of the state of Maryland. After all, our country is founded on the basis of republicanism. It is not more important to be sharing the spoils reaped by the self-interested bank with the government that only works to achieve the interests of the people as a whole. No. Our whole American society deserves a suiting tribute from the selfish and relatively unrestricted bank.
Do you believe this is actually a state's right?
Of course, states should not be impartial towards private businesses, and we decided it would be fair to tax them and generate revenue for our state as a whole, to better serve the interests of our people.
What do you think Chief Justice John Marshall will say about this?
Frankly, I do not care about John Marshall's opinion, because whether he likes it or not, this is a right he cannot deny us. In the Constitution, Amendment 10, reserved powers not specifically given to the federal government belong to the states and the people. Our quarrel with the bank should not even have gone to the Supreme Court, if you ask me.
Well, hello there. I'm the Hottie Hammer, and today I'm representing the Fed's law firm. If you want to protect your federal rights and get your money's worth, come to me.
Attention! The defense is now in session.
Following the improper accusation of my client, James McCulloch, our defense team argues that the state has overstepped its boundaries. As a fervent structuralist of the Constitution, I believe the states have overstepped the powers given to them by said document. The Bank of the United States functions as a private enterprise, and consequently has no right to be taxed by the government.
I understand your allegations, Mr. Hottie. Now I must hear from the prosecution.
With all due respect, Your Honor, the federal government does not have any right to prevent the Bank of Maryland from taxing the federal bank. As stated in the Constitution, significantly in Amendment 10, any power left from the federal government is given to the state. Is taxing the government not a power left out from the federal government? Therefore, it should be given to the state.
James McCulloch should have won. James McCulloch is going to win.
Order of the court. We must hear the rebuttal from the defense.
Clearly our friend from Maryland here isn't taking historical perspective into context. Was it not commercial problems with the British that ultimately led to a rebellion? I fear that should this continue, and should we be restricted by the state of Maryland, we will be having our rights infringed upon. This is not what the purpose of the United States of America is. The whole purpose of forming a new country was to ensure problems such as those that have already plagued us will not occur. If this course continues to happen, who is to say what kind of conflict we will get into the near future?
After carefully considering both Mr. Hottie's and Maryland's cases, my verdict is that Maryland cannot tax the federal bank because federal power has supremacy over state power.
Mr. Mr. John Marshall. Mr. John Marshall,
Yes.
how do you think the court case went today?
I think it went really, really well. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Constitution, which says that federal power is greater than state power. I mean, I'm just sick and tired of all these states coming to me trying to say that they're greater than the United States government, which is the best government in the world. I don't know what's happening.
You heard it here first, folks. This is Riston Taubert reporting live from Washington, D.C. After interviewing both sides unbiasedly, it is apparent why the victor of the case was chosen as McCulloch. Maryland felt that they had almost God-given power to tax the Bank of the United States. The bank's representative, McCulloch, was rightfully confused because he shouldn't have been the one sued in the first place, and the state of Maryland did not indeed have the power to tax the Bank of the United States. The Court Justice John Marshall granted that McCulloch was the victor of the case and thus showed the federal government and institutions such as the Federal Bank of the United States have power over state governments such as the state of Maryland. With this action, the courts exemplified the concept of federal supremacy over other governments, such as state governments. This concludes tonight's segment of 60 Minutes. My name is Tristan Robert, and I'll see you next time.